Today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite concepts in painting that can really take your work to the next level. Now this is something that I teach all of my students, and I'm amazed at how their work will take a big step forward once they start implementing this simple concept that I'm going to teach you today. And the best part about this is something that you can change in your next painting. Let's take a look. Before we get into the specifics on this, I want to show you a few paintings by an incredible artist that's going to illustrate this point exactly. Take a look at some of Trevor Chamberlain's watercolors. He's a British watercolor artist that is really incredible, and he's been a big inspiration for me and many other artists. He paints in a very direct approach, and a lot of these are plein air paintings, so he's painting these on site as well, which even makes it more impressive at what he's able to do here. One thing that you'll notice about his work is that he never loses sight of what the main idea of the painting is. Look how clear and focused these paintings are. And what do I mean by clear and focused? In his work, he has a clear idea of what is most important to him and why he chose to paint this scene. There aren't several areas competing for your attention. He seems to know how to put just enough detail to get the point across. So let's talk about how he does this. The first point I'm going to talk about is do less. Usually when I have advice, it's about how to do something specific. I'm teaching you how to apply the paint, how to do something on the paper. I'm actually asking you to do less. What does that mean exactly? Less brushstrokes, less detail, less attention, especially on the edges of your painting. So if you zoom in on an area of his scene, like this for instance, what is this? You don't really know what this is until you zoom back out, and now you can see it in its context with the rest of the scene. You'll notice that the scene isn't labored over. He doesn't give the same amount of attention to every part of his painting. So he doesn't have the same amount of contrast and brush strokes and importance here on the edges of his painting as he does in the middle where the main idea of the scene is. And let's talk about the main idea. That's number 2. Determine the main idea of the scene. Now, when you're picking out a scene, when you're taking a photograph, when you're standing in front of a scene that you want to paint, you have to remember, what is it that caught my attention about this? Why did I stop and take this picture? Why am I drawn to this subject? And that thing that draws you to the subject needs to be your main idea. So you want to give that area more focus, more attention than the other parts. So how do we give this part of the painting more attention than other parts? Well, let's take a look at one of Trevor's paintings. The main area of interest has the most contrast, has the sharpest edge. Usually it's where the lightest area of the painting meets the darkest area of the painting. And he reserves this contrast, this texture for these key areas of the scene. Now he doesn't do this all over the scene. You've probably heard me say this before, but if you emphasize everything, you emphasize nothing. So use these tools that you have, this brushwork, these hard edges, this contrast, this saturation, to emphasize the main point of your scene. It's not as if the rest of the painting isn't important, but we don't want it to have the same emphasis, the same amount of importance as the main idea of your painting. So all of it works together to tell the same story. It's not competing. Your viewer's attention isn't here and then here and then here and then lost in some distant detail that isn't important. He keeps the main idea throughout the painting process. And that is really the heart of this concept and how it's going to help you take a big step forward in your painting. Number 3 is leave some mystery in your scene. It is so tempting that we get involved really deeply in every area that we're painting. We want to paint every leaf on the tree, every brick in the building. It's really hard because when you are looking at that part of your subject, that feels to you as if it is the main subject of the painting, but it isn't. So once we have established what that main idea is, we want to keep it in mind throughout the painting process. And also leave the other areas of your scene looser to leave some mystery in your painting. Even within your main area of the painting, we don't have to emphasize and add a copious amount of detail to everything. Take a look at how he handles the figures in this painting, and in a lot of his paintings. Very loose. Establish the head, establish the body, And once you know that you're looking at people, because maybe the main figure is a little more defined, the rest of these little marks become figures. I think that's one of the coolest things, is we are kind of creating a key for the viewer. We are telling the viewer what these shapes are, and once you tell them what the shape is, the rest of your shapes can be a lot more abstract, can be a lot looser, can just be an impression. That is what makes a painting interesting. The viewer can engage with the work. So the next time that you sit down to paint, try this out. Determining what the main idea of your painting is, minimizing the rest of the scene, and leaving some mystery. I really think that'll make a big difference for you. And students that I have seen implement this in their work, they have really taken off. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? You ever had that experience? You just are having a hard time finding consistency. Some of your paintings turn out, some of your paintings don't turn out, and you're not really sure why. Well, I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help exactly with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone, you could print it out, and you can take a look at these crucial planning steps before you start each painting to ensure that you're thinking through these important things as you get started. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.